me understand, what is it about the electric vehicles that is
Dan,
so damaging?
would you come step up to the podium, please? Did you hear his question?
So you're asking what it is about the electric vehicles?
Yeah, that's so.
It's the batteries. I mean, when those cells, basically they explode, is what they're doing, a bunch of little explosions. And when that stuff comes out, it contaminates your gear. So I was in the class that he's talking about. I just was at that class, was it 2 weeks ago maybe, or something like that. And in the class, they said once that stuff gets on your gear, they're finding even after they wash it, it's still on the gear. It won't go off of the gear.
And then it makes the gear flammable, is that?
It's not flammable, it's just
It's
contaminated.
poison, it's a carcinogen.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay.
So it's when the batteries are burning, it's the stuff that's in the batteries. It's not the car itself. I mean, if it's a normal car fire, you can wash that gear and you're usually okay. But it's on an EV with the battery, once that goes, all those contaminants they just don't come off your gear, or they don't come off your gear easily.
And then, so a year out to buy new stuff. And then I remember, Chief, you talked to me, and maybe Dan, you can speak to this if you don't mind waiting for a second, sorry. That is our equipment powerful enough to help suppress the heat from the EV fire? Because as I understand it, they burn intensely hot.
They do. Basically, this class was how you can just control that heat. They've got different nozzles and things that we don't have here. You can put upwards of 30,000 gallons of water on it. I have a friend that's a full-time firefighter in Florida, and they were pushing him in the ocean during the hurricane because they couldn't put him out. So there's a bunch of different techniques that they have. The biggest technique, I know you shouldn't do that, but that's what they did. The biggest technique that they showed us is a nozzle that slides under the vehicle and just pours water at the bottom side of the vehicle. Basically, all you're doing is just trying to cool it because each cell heats up and it catches on fire, it explodes and catches the next one. That one heats up, and there's thousands and thousands and thousands of cells in these things. So your goal is to cool it to try to stop that continual process. And the only way we can cool it is just load it with water.
In the publications I read, normal firefighting tactics of oxygen deprivation will not stop this chain reaction fire in an EV. Water will not put it out. You're working on controlling, and they also talked about how long does it take for the vehicle to get up to 2,000 degrees?
It's quick. I don't remember.
It seems like you meant only seconds.
Yeah, it's like seconds. Once a cell goes, it will almost automatically ignite the next cell or cause the next cell to go, and then it's just a chain reaction and just goes across the entire car. And most of EVs, if you guys are familiar with EVs, most EVs it's the entire floor pan. That's all.
Of course, that's all battery.
That's all battery.
Correct. Yeah. Would you be kind enough to do some research on how much one of those nozzles would cost and bring it?
$45 million.
You already done the research.
We have information.
It's called a turtle nozzle. And
They
it's,
brought it to that training.
Do you see value in us investing in one just to have?
that's a question for Chief.
Yeah, we have nothing. The only other thing that I'm aware of has been developed, a company developed a thing also that you put firearms on and shove under the car. What activates the spike to penetrate the battery cell? Is it the water pressure? Is it pneumatic?
CO2.
CO2?
Yes.
And then that penetrates the battery cell and gives you the channel for the water to go in the battery cell. But again, you can't put it out, that's controlling the heat, maybe slowing down the chain reaction. But that's $30,000 and it's a one-time use.
They also in this class, not to belabor this point, but in the class they showed a battery like that's been cut in half so you can see what it is. And around each cell is foam. So every cell has it looks like spray foam. There's foam around every single cell in the battery. So sometimes they talked about the piercing nozzles. They said sometimes you will pierce here and the fire could be over here. and it's,
Oh,
it
geez.
has to burn through all that foam before, I mean, this is not gonna get over here. It's all in case the battery's tight, you know, it's not like there's room to slop around and we pierce up into it, and then we're throwing water on top of it. It's a normal battery encased in its enclosure. So every cell has foam around it, and then there's thousands of cells jammed in there. So sometimes, I mean, if you know right where it's at, the piercing nozzle might work, but if you don't hit the right spot, you might think the fire's by the back seat, it could be by the front seat, and you pierce the back seat. Well, I don't know how long it's gonna take to get through. It's basically gonna have to burn the foam out before the water's gonna get there.
We're just mitigating if we have an electric vehicle fire. We're not controlling. Our concern is the smoke, wind direction, what's it floating over in the city, trying to control that. Knowing the street's gonna get destroyed underneath of it. What's the probability of once it's out and gets moved that it's gonna start a fire again?
They typically do. Once you get them out, they will reignite. So they actually, in this class, they said, try to remove them. If you can get a tow company that will do it, try to get them put out enough to get them removed, and then put them like in a tow yard or whatever, and just let them burn. They said, why put 30,000 gallons of water on it? If you can remove it from any other structure, any other vehicles. I mean, in the class, we actually hooked a car to a pickup truck and drug it across a paved parking lot, just so they could, and they had it on fire. It wasn't an EV, they just used a regular vehicle to show us how to do it. But just to show, I mean, we went up and put the fire out, and then it's just smoldering, and you hook onto it and drag it out. And that was to show how you would get a tow company to come quickly get it on a flatbed. They also recommend if you do that the fire department follows the tow company wherever they go in case it reignites. But they will quite frequently reignite, and sometimes it can be 9 or 10 hours later.
Do we have a place that we've considered to place these if it happens? Because I mean, I know of at least 3 Teslas in town right now, and Tesla's proven.
That's what I was gonna ask, do we know how many electric vehicles we have?
But I'm just saying, with the advent of, I mean, Cadillac, all the big boys are pushing EVs like crazy, and I know I've seen Jaguars lighting up in people's garages, and they're barely getting them out to the street in time. I think this is something I would appreciate us getting in front of. Do we have room in the millage? Would you guys support this to grab one of those nozzles and just be ahead of the game?
Yeah, we have 92,000 right now, and these expenditures are 22 and 25, and the third one was 1,700, so yeah. And that nozzle is about that big around, it's beveled, has a hole in the top, and it has holes at angles around it, so you hook a 2.5-inch fire hose, and 200 pounds of pressure. Just sitting outside, all those will go 30 feet. So it's actually got other use. You can throw that down into the basement of a house, if the basement's on fire, and cover a large area, before it burns through the floor.
And of course, it's designed to withstand the intense heat.
It was designed by New Jersey firefighters. The company is owned by full-time firefighters in New Jersey.
That's encouraging. That's great. Would you guys support us bringing that to council on the 21st? Because Chief says if you could get it in the packet, that with $4,500 plus 10% contingency, just in case the price has fluctuated.
Shipping costs.
Yeah. You guys okay with that?
Yeah.
Would somebody throw a motion to?
I'll bring this to council for this announcement.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Alright, so Chief, would you get those numbers together for me?
I'll send you brochures.
Right, and if it happens to be more than $5,000, just let me know and I'll send an email and we'll make an amendment to that. Absolutely. No,
We're just trying to develop our plans, but
well, I wanna be in front of it, I don't wanna,
short of having,
it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen.
like a cargo trailer that you can just drop on top of it. And see those just sit there on the road and burn, or down the road. You're looking at, what most publications say is approximately 6 hours of spraying water on it, just to try to keep it cool enough so it's not sending as many carcinogens as it
And,
would.
yeah, because it's poisonous smoke.
They have what they call fire blankets, big ones that you can put over it, and it will hold the heat down and some of the smoke. The problem is when you pull the blanket off, if you're breathing air, you die. Normal air, because of, it's holding all the carcinogens and stuff underneath, but, and those, we're still looking at it, might be a one and done for the blanket. Everybody's trying to figure this out. I mean, we're not starting, everybody is starting trying to figure this out and have a decent game plan. We don't have an ocean.
Correct.
We have manholes, but they hold the hole too, cover it up for a couple of days.
Well, that was, I was gonna, how do you, I mean, is there a policy for disposing of them? Because now you have this completely toxic bundle of a mass, right? I mean,
We're not even sure the phone companies here locally will come touch it. We have got Hephner to talk to them. We want our plans first.
so, all right, so, any other discussion on that?
Lots of questions, but good.
For now, we can bring it up again in the future. I appreciate you guys supporting the purchase of that nozzle. I think that's a great, yeah?
Just one quick thing on the fire blanket. You can reuse a fire blanket. They recommend you don't. We also went over fire blankets and they demonstrated that in this class as well. They recommend that you bill the insurance company of the person that has the vehicle and don't try to reuse them. They said you can, but they don't recommend it. Because I mean, they don't know how many times it's gonna work before that it just fails.
Right.
And it's kind of pointless to drag this thing. It takes 4 guys moving pretty quickly to get it over top of the vehicle and then tucked in. You basically, it's like a huge tarp, but it's obviously not made out of tarp material. And everybody gets on a corner, you go right over top of it and pull it straight down and then just try to tuck it in, and all it does is just encapsulates it right there. It won't put it out, it will help. It can't, it's not gonna get as much oxygen, but you have no way of sealing it off, it's just basically containing it.
How much are the blankets?
I'm not sure.
I think they have a couple different types, didn't you tell me, Mark? One's kind of thin. One of you were telling me,
I'm not sure.
it depends on